I worked with clients for more than 25 years, and one thing became crystal clear. Practically nobody loves talking about estate planning. It feels kind of uncomfortable. It feels far away. And yet it is one of the most important gifts that you can leave behind: clarity instead of confusion. Things like a will, power of attorney, beneficiary designations, in some cases, maybe a trust. These are all decisions about who gets what, who speaks for you, how smoothly everything unfolds when you're no longer able to speak for yourself. This is episode 9 of our second act series, and I'm going to break down the essential tools that Canadian retirees need to have in place so that your legacy is protected, your wishes are respected, and your family isn't left sorting through a mess. A big thank you to Harvest ETFs for supporting this entire series. I will be talking a little bit more about them later in the episode. Let's be honest here. Most people delay estate planning. It is awkward. It feels morbid for some, and there's always something more urgent that you could probably do first. But without a proper plan in place, your assets may not go where you want them to. Your loved ones could face delays, legal battles, unnecessary taxes, and a real biggie here: if you become incapacitated, someone you trust might not be allowed to make decisions on your behalf. Now, in Canada, each province has rules for what happens if you die intestate without a will. Spoiler here, it might not reflect your wishes. Last point, you might assume that estate planning is about wealth, and that is true, but it's also about responsibility. Let's start with the must-haves. These apply to almost every retiree in Canada. First off, a will. Your will is the cornerstone of your estate plan. It tells the world how you want your assets distributed, who should look after your dependents if that's applicable, and who should carry out your wishes. It names your executor. This is the person that you trust to handle everything after you're gone. That means paying final bills, filing taxes, distributing assets, and communicating effectively with your beneficiaries. If you don't have a will, provincial law decides what you get. And trust me, it might not go how you think that it will. Your spouse may not automatically inherit everything if that's your wish, and adult children could end up in conflict. Sadly, during my career, I saw that happen all too often. Also, in your will, you name guardians for minor children or dependents, and you specify particular requests like family heirlooms, donations, and gifts to friends. Having a will avoids delays, court costs, and confusion. Important note here, it is very important to keep your will up to date. Review it after all major life changes. Examples of this: divorce, remarriage, new grandchildren, or if someone that is named in your will has passed away. Lastly, store this in a safe place, but an accessible place. Make sure your executor knows where it is, and make sure there is a signed original copy. Second on the list is a power of attorney, and this gives someone legal authority to act on your behalf if you can't. There are two types in most provinces. POA for property. So this covers your finances, things like paying bills, managing bank accounts, or handling the sale of a property. You have a POA for personal care. Now, depending on which province you live in, other names you might hear are healthcare directive, personal directive, advance directive, representation agreement. These cover medical decisions: what treatments you do or don't want, where you live, who can speak on your behalf to your doctors. Now, without these documents, your family could face some serious barriers. Even your spouse might have trouble accessing bank accounts or speaking on your behalf in the event of emergency. A few things you need to consider: choose people who are trustworthy, organized, and able to handle stress. Does not have to be your spouse, doesn't have to be your eldest child. It could be someone who will follow your wishes even under pressure. Don't forget too that these documents need to be signed, dated, properly witnessed to be legally valid. Quick note here, this video is not offering any legal advice. The information is for that information only, to help you understand what your options are, and you should consult professional help to discuss and implement any of these important plans mentioned in this video. Number 3 is beneficiary designations. And many of your most valuable assets, think of things like your RSPs, your RIFs, your TFSAs, life insurance, they will bypass your estate entirely if you've named a beneficiary. And that is really convenient. It speeds up the process, it avoids probate fees in some cases, and it sends the funds directly to your chosen person. This also means, though, that mistakes They can last for decades if you don't keep those designations current. Again, in Quebec, the rules are a little bit different. For example, for many types of bank accounts, designations must be made in your will and not on the financial institution's form. Again, check with an estate planning professional if your situation includes this type of decision. Another important note, review your designations every few years or every time there is a major event. I mentioned a divorce, a death, a marriage. I am aware of people who have accidentally left significant amounts of money to an ex-spouse simply because they never updated their paperwork. Also note, naming a minor child as a beneficiary can cause complications. The funds may have to be held in trust until that child reaches adulthood. The age will depend on what province you live. Now, if you have complex family situations, blended families, dependents with special needs, speak to a lawyer or an advisor about how to structure those designations carefully. Something you may not have thought of is that today your life doesn't just live in filing cabinets like it did back in the day. It lives online. So your estate plan should include a list of digital assets, banking and investment accounts, social media, photo storage, cloud drives, even your paid subscriptions. Without this information, your executor might not even know what you own or how to shut things down properly. Tip here, make a list of your online accounts, your user IDs and instructions. Keep passwords in a secure but accessible way, maybe through a password manager or even any sealed envelope that is stored with your will. Consider naming a digital executor, someone who is specifically authorized to handle your online presence and accounts. This can actually save your family weeks of frustration. It ensures that your online identity and your memories are handled the way that you want. All of these points I've talked about here are the foundations of a good estate plan, but the truth is, most Canadians still don't have all four of these in place, and that's where the small steps that you take today can prevent big headaches tomorrow. So far in this episode, we've talked about what every retiree needs to provide peace of mind, clarity, confidence for the years ahead. Those same traits apply to your investments too, and that's why we're proud to have Harvest ETFs as a sponsor of this entire series. And I'd like to bring to your attention the Harvest Low Volatility Canadian Equity Income ETF. The ticker is HVOI. Now, retirees often ask, should I stay aggressive with my investments or should I shift to safety? The real question maybe is, how do I smoothen out the ride? That's exactly what HVOI is designed to do. It starts with a broad universe of large and mid-cap Canadian equities, all established companies with staying power. From there, then, Harvest applies a risk scoring and analysis process that focuses on the things that really matter when the markets get choppy, the fundamentals. Only the top 40 names make the cut, selected by size and risk score. There is a 4% cap per name to avoid overconcentration. Then Harvest experienced portfolio manager team steps in. They review and rebalance the fund semi-annually. They keep the portfolio aligned with its low volatility mandate. The result is a portfolio that is constructed and weighted specifically to reduce volatility. It's designed to provide a smoother investment experience, especially when you're drawing income in retirement. If you are building a plan that puts stability and income first, but you still want equity exposure, HVOI might be worth a closer look. You can learn more at harvestetfs.com or click the link in the description of this video. Again, thank you to Harvest ETFs for supporting this series. Once the basics of your estate plan are in place, there are some advanced tools that can help you protect your assets, manage your taxes, and make sure that your wishes are carried out in detail. Now, important point here, these are not for everyone, but they can make a major difference for families with complex situations, significant assets, or dependents with special needs. Let's start with trusts. A trust is a legal arrangement where you give control of certain assets to a trustee, so someone who manages those assets for the benefit of someone else. There are two main types: living trusts, inter vivos, these are created while you're alive, or testamentary trusts, these are created through your will and activated after your death. And trusts can serve a lot of purposes. They can help you protect assets for children or grandchildren who aren't ready to manage money yet, support a disabled or vulnerable family member without jeopardizing government benefits, manage business or rental properties without requiring constant oversight, reduce probate fees, and maintain privacy, since trusts don't go through the same public court process as a will does. Now, a word of caution here: trusts can be incredibly powerful, they're also complex. They come with setup costs, legal considerations, and tax filing requirements. So work with a lawyer and a tax professional to decide if one makes sense for you. Bottom line, trust can also give you control from beyond the grave. For example, allowing distributions to happen over time rather than in one lump sum. Now, secondly, taxes on your estate. When you die in Canada, you're generally considered to have sold all your assets immediately before your death. This is called a deemed disposition. This means that your estate may owe capital gains taxes on investments, property, or businesses that have increased in value. RIFs, RRSPs, these are treated differently. They are fully taxable as regular income unless you've transferred them to a spouse or a qualifying dependent. Probate fees can also apply depending on where you live. They typically range from being negligible in some provinces to around 1.4, 1.5% in others. Now, because real estate values, investment holdings are high for many retirees, even this moderate rate could add up pretty quick. So what can you do? Here are some strategies to consider. Name a spouse as beneficiary or successor on registered accounts. This can defer taxes until their death. Use your TFSAs wisely. Since TFSA withdrawals aren't taxable, they're excellent tools for passing wealth tax-free. Charitable donations can offset taxes on your final return. Consider joint ownership for property or accounts, but only if it makes legal and relational sense. Joint ownership can actually cause big problems later if it's not structured properly. The goal here is not just to avoid tax at all costs, it's to make sure that your money goes where you want it to go and not just to the government. In most cases, a meeting with an accountant who specializes in estate planning can save your heirs thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars. The third thing are advanced medical directives. And this one isn't so much about money, it's more about control, more about dignity. Again, different provinces call this different things. You might hear healthcare directive, representation agreement, mandate in case of incapacity, personal directive, and the list goes on. No matter what it is called, though, it does the same thing. It spells out what kind of care you want or don't want if you're ever unable to speak for yourself. In the document, you can outline your wishes around life support, resuscitation, organ donation, or end-of-life comfort measures. Most importantly here, this can spare your family the emotional burden of guessing what you would have wanted. If you don't have this in place, medical teams may default to aggressive interventions, even if that's not what you choose. This planning is ensuring about your voice is heard while you're still alive, but unable to speak. Just like your will and power of attorneys, this should be reviewed every few years to make sure that it still reflects your current beliefs and situation. Tell your executor, your attorney for property, your healthcare proxy where to find the originals and any backups. If they can't access them, it's as if they don't even exist. Store copies in a secure location like a fireproof safe, safety deposit box, or a secure digital vault. A good idea here is becoming more and more popular is to create an estate binder that contains your will, powers of attorney, insurance policies, investment summaries, contact list of professionals like lawyers, accountants, advisors, and digital access instructions. Make it easy for someone to step in and keep your affairs running smoothly. All of these tools, trusts, tax strategies, directives, organization, they can make a big difference between a smooth transition and a stressful one. Bottom line on this topic, it's about making things easier for the people that you love. If you haven't started your estate plan yet, here's how to begin. Number one, draft or update your will. Then appoint powers of attorney, both financial and health. Check your beneficiary designations, make sure they're up to date. Create a secure folder with digital info and key contacts. Talk to a lawyer or estate professional if your situation is complex. Now, I have put together a free estate planning essentials checklist that goes through everything I've talked about in this video that will walk you through each step. You can scan the QR code on your screen or click the link in the description. Please don't wait on this. It is urgent. Estate planning is definitely easier when done with a clear head and not when you're in a crisis. Now, in our next episode, we're going to tackle one of the biggest issues that every retiree faces. How should you invest your money once you are near or actually in retirement? Investing in your 30s and 40s, that is one thing. But once you're living off your portfolio, the game changes. The goal isn't to grow your money as much anymore. It's to make sure that it lasts. It's to make it reliable, to make sure that market swings don't wreck your peace of mind. You're going to see that investing in retirement takes on a completely different role, one that balances income, stability, and just enough growth to stay ahead of inflation. But here's the challenge. Figuring out how much risk to take is hard. If you take too little, your money might not keep up. You take too much, a bad year early in retirement can set you back permanently. So in the next episode, I'm going to walk through how to find that balance, how to structure your investments for real life retirement income, and how to build a portfolio that lets you sleep comfortably and spend confidently. If you found today's episode helpful, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications. You don't want to miss the next one. Forward it to a family member or a friend who you think can benefit from this information, because once you've got an estate plan in place, the next step is to make sure that your investments are working for you, not against you. Thank you again to Harvest ETFs for supporting this series, and here's to protecting your legacy, your family, and your peace of mind. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next episode.